righteous Sangha out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư đi khổ đạp là tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Đàn Tô Su Chế Đô Ye Ở La Hờ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Tát Tát Tha Tô Già Đa Già La Hờ Đề Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom and thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng she wei miao fa, bai jie wan jie nan zhao yu, wo jin jie we de shou chi, Yuan Jie Ru Lai Zhen Shi Yin. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable 6th Patriarch, Venerable HsuanHua, Venerable Level people, and all good no advisors, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, Liêu Tử, Sư Phụ, Sang人,各位出家人, 各位上知识, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa lục tổ ở thượng Viên Hoa Ký Tê Cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Today is the 13th of September 2020. We are here in Rosemead, California, Way Mountain Temple to continue discussing the 6th Patriarch Sutra. We are presently on chapter 7, slide number 529. We're nearing the end of this chapter. Here we have the sutra from a great, one of the greatest teachers in the history of Chinese Buddhism. I don't know for sure because I can't verify, but I feel like he is a Buddha. That appears as the 6th Patriarch, as the 6th Patriarch. Patriarchs have many levels, from low level, like Nagarjuna, Lung Shu Buddha, okay? He's 4th ground Bodhisattva. To us, it's pretty low. To pretty high level, like Master HsuanHua and so forth, you'll be hard-pressed to find a patriarch of his level. Very, very difficult to find Master HsuanHua's level, okay, as a patriarch. And you also have the patriarch like Bodhidharma, which apparently was claimed to be Guanyin Bodhisattva, to bring Buddhism from India to China. Okay, he is the one who brought Mahayana from India to China, who started it all in Chinese. And now the Chinese use Master HsuanHua, my late teacher, to bring Mahayana from China to the U.S. Okay, so You have these great patriarchs. Usually they're great patriarchs because they're tasked with something that's very difficult to do. Okay, I'm actually surprised that they chose Master HsuanHua because you think that you need like a Buddha to bring it over because you want to make sure you bring everything over, not just a subset. Okay, so that tells you how high Master HsuanHua is. And then you have the 6th Patriarch, who is the only patriarch in a Chinese canon where his teachings are considered to be a sutra. A sutra is the Buddha's teaching. So his teachings is equated to the Buddha's teaching, the same level. Because this is a sutra. None of us can speak sutras. Okay? Yes, question in the back.
So normally when a patriarch or a master speaks, it's called a Shastra, right?
Usually they write a commentary. Yes, when they speak, and usually it's Shastra. It's a commentary. They don't really have any original teaching per se. Okay, so it's a Shastra. That's correct. Okay, so only Buddhas, when they spoke, that's when it's called sutra. Bodhisattvas, they speak Shastras. That's correct. So that's why it's very strange that the 6th Patriarch is categorized as a sutra. So you can tell it's very unusual. It's not a mistake, I can assure you. They don't make mistakes, that's for sure. Because when they want to be very truthful, they want to teach us something, it has to be from a Buddha, from a Bodhisattva, so it's very, very carefully categorized. Okay? My master is extremely high level. It's not a sutra. Okay? Because you can tell if you take Master HsuanHua's teaching versus the 6th Patriarch Sutra, you see there's a world of difference. Agree, disagree. See that? And Master HsuanHua is so high already, extremely high, and yet his teaching is nowhere near the level and the complexity or the depth, the sophistication of Master HuìNéng. So you can tell Master HuìNéng is very, very unusual. So you see, so I feel he's a Buddha. It's just, again, it's just my opinion. Now, so you see, he's so famous, he's so superior to most of the patriarchs. And what does he do? He builds a temple, okay, and acquire land, build a temple, and can house thousands of monks and nuns. Is it monks only, I think, back then? Anyone knows? I think it's only monks, right? No nuns. Yeah. Back then, the Chinese, they openly discriminate against nuns. Okay, so there's no protest like nun lives matter or something like that. But anyway, the point is that it's perfectly acceptable in a Chinese society back then to separate men from women, and women are below men, It makes sense up to a certain point. Once the women become enlightened, by the way, and then there's no more discrimination. Okay, discrimination because they are not enlightened. But in Buddhism, this is where the Westerners don't understand this. They look at us and say, okay, so the Buddhists, you guys discriminate against the nuns. Yes, because they, are not enlightened. But once they're enlightened, same level, no difference. Okay, at least to us, professionals. To you, you still discriminate, so we have to work on you. It's not our fault, it's your fault. So far, so good? So discrimination comes from you, not from us. Yes, sir?
So Shakyamuni, he actually had female disciples, is that right?
Yes. His mother, stepmother, that's his mother's own mother's sister, younger sister, married his father, and then took care of him. the two sisters marry the same guy, the same king. No comment about that. Indians know how to live, you know. But jokes aside, so after the Buddha became enlightened, his aunt and mother, because the aunt actually acted like his own mother. She raised him. She abandoned her own son, Ananda, to raise the Buddha. Okay. Should have a movement that sons' lives matter as well. Anyway, they're not very political back then. But after the Buddha became a Buddha, he went back home and paid him a visit, and after a while, his mother asked him to leave the home life, to become a nun, and the Buddha refused and said, "No, you are a lot of trouble, not worth it to us." Again, these are the words of the Buddha. Okay, Vicki used to say, now she said, I'm sleepy. That's it. I'm not going to fight you. I'm too sleepy. Have your lunch, cheesecake and everything. So the Buddha left, and so the aunt mother walked miles barefoot to go see the Buddha, to pursue the Buddha and ask him in person. Okay, and the Buddha was touched, because when she came and saw the Buddha, her feet were bleeding. Remember, this is the queen of a country in India. Never walked that far barefooted, okay, on gravel. So he was touched. He said, "Okay, if you are that sincere, we will make sacrifices. Because if I accept you into my order, my Buddha Dharma will stay in the world 500 years less than before." Okay? Then it's supposed to. So the Buddha said, "Okay, we make sacrifices on behalf of humanity. We accept women into the order." And that's how today we have Xian Tong, who is a kitchen manager. Otherwise, today we go hungry or have to order from Subway or Pizza Hut, okay? So you see, yes, we have a few more, 500 years shorter here in the world, but at least we're feeding more people. So there's always trade-off in lives, in Buddhism as well. So that's what happened. Okay, but it turns out that once the nuns, women, become enlightened, then when you become enlightened, there's no more discrimination between men or women. Okay, men and women, because your mind is discriminating. After you become enlightened, there's no more discrimination. That's why the separation of men and women only applies to people who are unenlightened. Okay, ordinary people, you will. Does it help? So Master HuìNéng is for sure extremely high level. I'm pretty sure he's higher than Master HsuanHua, my late Chinese teacher. So he's very famous, and he has a lot of disciples. He's recognized by the emperor, by his contemporaries as superior monks. His contemporaries who send their own disciples and refer to the other monks and nuns to go see him. Okay, and true to form, Master HuìNéng did not discriminate between monks and nuns. Notice that. He taught his disciples his enlightened disciples included nuns as well. And some of the nuns are reached pretty high level themselves. So you understand why the discrimination in your mind, not in Master HuìNéng's mind, okay? Now, he's very famous, very successful. He has enough work to do every day. And what does he do? He sent his disciples go and Xuán Cè. Okay? Xuán Cè. That's one of his enlightened disciples. To go around the country to talk to people. Okay? Probably because Xuán Cè cannot meditate that well, so he has to walk. He always had to do walking meditation. Sitting meditation is probably too difficult for Xuán Cè. I'm making fun of Xuán Cè, okay? Please, it's just, I'm trying to make it controversial so that you guys wake up and say, what? I disagree. You're discriminating against Chinese men now. Yes, I am. So anyway, so this guy is probably cannot meditate that well, so he has to walk, or other people have to do 3 steps, 1 bow. You see what I mean? Because they can't sit, because sitting meditation is a lot faster than bowing. Bowing takes forever, you ask me. Okay, anyway, so this guy walked, okay? He didn't even do 1 step, 3 steps, 1 bow. He's even lower than 3 steps, 1 bow, if you will. Okay? And so he goes around and like to find people that he find interesting and argue with them, debate with them. Okay? So this is typical of the Chinese Chan. I say Chinese because I've never been exposed to Indian Chan, so I need to be very specific as to my source of knowledge is very, very limited. Now, the Chinese Chan, you have 2 masters, Chan masters, they meet each other, and they go into something of verbal Chan fighting. Chan Gōngfū, you will, you know. So you can equate this to the fact that in China, I wasn't there, but I watch a lot of Kung Fu movies. Once you reach a certain level as a Kung Fu master, now you go around the country and ask people, you know any good Kung Fu master? I can come and see. So they say, oh yeah, Master so-and-so. You go there, and what do? They go in and they say, I like to issue a challenge. Okay? Is this what they do in Winchen? Did anyone see Yip Man? There you go. I saw Yip Man 4. How about you? We both the same level. Same degree, same Kung Fu degree. So anyway, so you go to see a martial artist. The Chinese call Gao Shou, meaning a high-level master, Gao Tu, Gao Shou, right? And then you say, I like to issue a challenge. Okay, and so what happens is that typically the master disciple, the most advanced one, the one who sits right there, like the student head, the student leader, would say, Master, allow me, and the master look at him and said, okay, go, okay, and of course that's a sign of success. You're too big, just accept the challenge, just anyone. So you let your student test him out first, like when my Thai friend, who's a 4th Stage Arhat, came to my temple in Lu Mountain Temple years ago, the first time he came, because my disciple, who used to be his disciple, invited him over and said, I'd like you to come over, and we have very good food. That's the only way you can bring him over. these Thai Arhats, good food. So he came over. So he came to my temple for the first time on a Saturday where we had chant classes. And he wouldn't come in during our sits. He sent his pupils to come in. So he sent about 2 or 3 monks come in and sit in front. And I was sitting here, in the podium, meditating with the class, and the 3 of them came in and tested me out. Yeah, they said, let's see how good he is. So after they tested me out, then the Thai monk came in because, his student didn't have much to say. Okay, they didn't come out and say, Master, it's not worth it. Let's get out of here. It's a waste of your time. Since they didn't say anything, the guy had to come in and then sat in front of me and meditated for about 10-15 minutes. And he says, okay, after that, then he accepted my lunch offer. Okay, so the point here is that if you're the master, you have disciples, you don't accept a challenge. You let your disciples accept the challenge, right? And so that's what happens. So that's what Master HuìNéng is doing. He sent his disciples to go out and challenge people. See that? That's only Master HuìNéng does that. It's another unusual thing of a patriarch. Very unusual for him to do that. Because I'm not aware of anyone else who does that officially. Okay? My master, he doesn't do that. Okay? He has one of his disciples, after he left, he sent one of his disciples' job to go shake people's hands. Shaking hands is not the same as, you go into, I'm going to beat you. I'm better than you. Shaking hands, we are the same, right? Yeah. Vote me as president of the association. That's different. Here it's like if you cannot defend yourself, you can get hurt real bad. And that's exactly what happens between these 2 people. So when he met, he goes around, and he meets with his masters. So basically he comes in and issues a challenge to these people. Okay? And I assure you, this is equivalent as a challenge in the martial arts world, where it's about a matter of life and death for these people. Now, you Chinese people brings to mind, the Chinese also have the Taoists, right? How do the Taoists do that? Does anyone know? Chinese people. I'm very cultural. I need you to understand it. It's, once you're good, you need to refine yourself and accept and learn about culture. Huh? Don't be such like Along, where he's a country boy. He recognizes his name now. What? He goes like it. So that in Chinese culture, what do they have? The Taoists, what do they have? How do the Taoists challenge themselves? Does anyone know? Chinese people, come on. Jane. She is not truly Chinese. She's not authentic Chinese. Anyone? The Taoists, they fight each other by how? Huh? 下棋. No, 下棋. They play chess. Yeah, they play chess. For days on end. 24 hours a day. Day after day after day. That's how they fight each other. And that's in the Chinese literature. They said, it's amazing, we found 2 immortals playing chess day after day, and they're laughing and smiling at each other and having a good time together, day after day after day after day, non-stop. That's how they fight each other. Isn't that cool? In chant, Xuán Cè came in and started asking him questions. Asking a question is like equivalent to throwing a punch. Okay? Can you protect yourself? I'm attacking your Dan Tien. Can you protect yourself? You get that text? This is very Chinese. Isn't that cool? So Xuán Cè's job is to go around and challenge people. And to me, at first I smirked and say, wow, you guys are so worldly. But actually, now I understand it's so compassionate. Why? Remember, Master HuìNéng has enough disciples. He has plenty of disciples. He has plenty of work to do. Why would he send his disciples out to talk to people with potential? Okay, whereas in the Chinese culture, they are supposed to seek you out. You're not supposed to seek them out. You see that? This is so unusual for a Chinaman. A Chinese person. The Chinese are so impressed. How come I know more of the Chinese people than they do? Because you guys are too young. I'm a lot older. Yes, sir. Green.
It sounds like it's a bit of meddling, but it's out of compassion. Maybe they're trying to point out where these people with potential are stuck so they can go further.
Because this is so Master HuìNéng. Because he knows that these people, even though they're enlightened, okay, they may be enlightened. After become enlightened, okay, they may be stuck. So he must reach out to them. Because they're enlightened, they say, I'm not going to seek. I'm enlightened. I'm not seeking. I'm enlightened already. If I go and seek out Sister Victorina for cheesecake, for example, I'm seeking. I'm not worthy of my stature as an enlightened person. If she gives me a little cheesecake, I say, it's good. It's very good. You have to act cool. So far, so good. So that's why once these people become enlightened, they say, okay, I'm enlightened. I'm not seeking. And then what happens? They're stuck. Enlightened people get stuck like us too. So Master HuìNéng looks at you and say, oh, you're not enlightened. I have to help you. I have to teach Helen. I teach Helen's dad and stuff like that, people like that. And he says, yes, that's my responsibility. But he's more than that. This is what makes him so different from the other patriarchs. He says, since I know you're not seeking me out, I'm going to seek you out to help you. Because you Chinese has been conditioned to go seek me before I teach you. Okay? I'm going to even forget that rule. It's too Chinese for me. This is Master HuìNéng now. I'm putting words in his mouth, but that's how I would put it nowadays. I say, that's too Chinese to expect for people to seek you out and seek for instructions. Okay? I'm going to waive that rule. I'm going to send my disciples out to be flashy and to show off and then to impress these people, which is, enlightened people don't do that. They don't try to impress you. Okay? So go out there, do verbal chant sparring with them to show them that you better or you just as good. And then they're going to become curious and say, who's your master? How come you're so good? How long have you been practicing chant? And you say, 1 year. Say what? 1 year? Who's your teacher? You see that? So this is Master HuìNéng's compassion. He says, You know, there are people out there who are very good and who are beyond seeking. Therefore, I'm going to send my disciples out to seek them. Only him does that. I know some of you are getting bored and say, my God, can you say something that pertains to me? It's pertaining to you. It's about compassion. He's doing that to also teach us what we're doing here. Once you become good, once you're competent, you can help yourself. That's when you really go all out to help others. Okay? That's his teaching. Can you see that? These Chinese, they get caught and say, oh, Master HuìNéng is so wonderful, Xuán Cè is his enlightened disciple, and go out there and do things. No, what he's teaching here is called the Chinese middle way. What is his middle way? Yes, Orange.
Well, I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I thought for a long time that YongHua was a Buddha. For a couple of years I had that opinion. But anyway, from the way you're describing this must have been a golden age of Dharma in China at this time.
Yes.
Because there was people all scattered all over who were already enlightened.
Yes.
And he had this huge assembly. It just must have been such an amazing time.
Yes, sir.
That we cannot even conceive of what it was
Absolutely.
like. So
The
that's all
outstanding era. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Very good. Okay. That's why Master HuìNéng has to appear to help these people out. Okay. Master HsuanHua is good enough for us lowlifes. But if you were more enlightened, more of you are enlightened, I'd be joining your ranks, sitting behind you. Okay? Because then you need a person like Master HuìNéng to teach you. Does it make sense now? It is so subtle. The Chinese, they keep on talking about, how the Chan, back and forth, but in this, the big picture, that is, these people are so compassionate. The more advanced they are, the more compassionate they are. And what they're showing us is the Dharma door. This is the process called middle way. Let me explain to you. I know you don't get it. Are you still awake? I know some of you say, boring. This is advanced Chinese Mahayana, not a regular kind. If you're bored, that's because you're Hinayana. Are we awake? Aha, okay. Same page. We're all awake now. Chinese Chan, Chinese Mahayana is you seek a teacher, a good new advisor. You want to learn, the quickest way, the safest way is find someone who's enlightened and learn from that person, period. That's the Chinese wisdom. Okay? That's what my master said, by the way. This is learn from my master. I came to my master and he's almost dead. He's dying. He doesn't teach anymore. So he didn't teach me. I had to learn, I have to seek out instruction from his disciples. I said, so they said, Master said so, then I pay attention. Okay. When they say, I think, and I say, oh, yeah, okay, keep thinking. But when they said, Master HsuanHua said so one day I asked him, because I couldn't understand Mahayana, so I asked him, what is Mahayana? This American monk, Caucasian monk, not just American, Caucasian, as white as Brady. Okay, so I asked him, what is Mahayana? And he says, Master HsuanHua says, Mahayana is Anyone? DRBA people, help us out. Certify me. Anyone? Online people? See, some people are sleeping. Yeah? What is Mahayana? Green. Yeah.
Rescue as many beings from defilement as we can.
That's Hinayana.
Rescue as many beings as we can.
That's Hinayana. They do that too. It has to be different from
I
them.
thought Hinayana was more interested in achieving enlightenment personally.
I'm rescuing myself as many beings as I can. I'm so Hinayana. You don't even understand me. I'm rescuing as many beings as I can. As many as I can. Remember, you qualify as I can, as possible.
Yeah.
That's all I can.
Yeah.
Careful, huh? Careful. Don't play words with me, word games with me. What is Mahayana? So this Caucasian monk who has been with him when I was there, close to 20 years. So Master HsuanHua taught him personally, okay? Guided him personally. So I was all ears and said, so what did Master HsuanHua teach you? What is Mahayana? And Billy? Yeah, you're wide awake, aren't you? He said, Master HsuanHua said, Mahayana is me, your good knowing advisor. That's the first time I ever heard anyone define Mahayana like that. I always thought Mahayana is like you go to the library, you check out these books called Mahayana books. That's what Mahayana is, right? You go to the university and hit the books, get a PhD, that's Mahayana. Yes? No. Mahayana is your good knowing advisor. Very original, isn't it? And that's Mahayana. And you know, to this day, I cannot disagree. So that's very Chinese. The Chinese said, and which something that the Koreans don't have anymore. The Chinese, when they want to learn Mahayana, they want to learn Chan, want to learn secret school, whatever, what do? They go around the country seeking a good knowing advisor. That's what they did. Okay? That's why, by the way, and thank you, sir, for the comment, generous comment earlier, that's why there were so many enlightened people in China, because they went and sought out the best teachers available. It's not like Harvard or Stanford nowadays, where MIT, where you need to get the admission before they teach you. No, you go there and they will teach you. Okay? Free. You don't even need to bring a chicken. Okay? No donation boxes back then. Donation boxes are a modern invention. Anyway, so the Chinese, they gravitate towards, when they hear of a good knowing advisor, someone who is a wise and enlightened teacher, they would flock to it. Okay, that's why Master HuìNéng had thousands of disciples, sucking his blood every day. Okay? Isn't that cool? So, the Chinese model of Mahayana is you seek out good no advisor. Yes? So, Master HuìNéng is now teaching the teachers. Are you ready? I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the teachers. I'm pretending to be him. I'm role-playing. He says, are you teachers ready? I'm going to teach you something non-Chinese. You're going to seek out the students instead of waiting for the students to seek you out. That's the middle way. When you are low level, then you need to seek out the good no advisor. When the good no advisor is high enough, then you seek out good students. Otherwise, the model is not complete. It's not the middle way, because there's only one way. Student goes to teacher. Teacher doesn't go to the student. See that? So I'm telling you, this is something the Chinese, none of the Chinese explanations explain this. None. I dare the Chinese, I dare internet Chinese people to disagree with me. I dare you to go into all your explanations. I will tell you will not find anywhere it says he's teaching his teachers about the middle way. Sending his disciples out to seek good students. See, the model, Chinese model is you seek good teachers. The good teachers now seek good students. That's HuìNéng. The Chinese don't know this. Now you know why my master had to bring Mahayana to the US, so that we can explain it to the Chinese. And Vietnamese, and Korean, and Caucasians, white-skinned people, any colored-skinned people. Okay? So it is so fantastic to me. That's you see in the advanced level where the compassion shows. They are not bound by rules anymore. It's only bound by how big their heart is. He's so busy, he's so tired, he's so sick helping people day and night, and more coming. What does he do? He sends out more people, sends out his disciples to help, to be able to help more and more people. That's compassion. That's the middle way. Okay? So you heard it from here, not from a Chinese. Okay, agree? Okay. An hour has gone by. Can we stop here? And it's actually, it's not, the sky is not as bad as yesterday, is it? Anyway, can we go back to 529? So now, Xuán Cè heard of this. I'm sorry it took so long to start the introduction because we have some new people here, so I wanted to make sure everyone is on the same page. So this Xuán Cè here met this monk, and he came in, and the monk here says, I entered Samadhi, I have entered the big Samadhi. And so Xuán Cè says, oh, that's kind of pompous to claim that you entered the big Samadhi. Let's go have a little bit of fun. I'm kind of bored, you know? So he went over there and said, when you enter Samadhi, is it with thought or without thought? You know? So he's doing it on purpose. He did it on purpose. So the other guy, bit the bait, and he answered it. Okay, so Xuán Cè now have a chance to prove his superiority. Okay, and so that's how the Chan people used to do. They debate you to the point where you can no longer answer them. Okay, that's equivalent to in Kung Fu what? You being hit, and you in boxing you on the floor. Now we go to boxing. Okay, so let's continue. 529 Sutra text. Xuán Cè said, not to notice whether or not you have the thought is eternal samadhi. How can you enter it or come out of it? If you come out of it or enter it, it is not the great samadhi.
策曰：不见有有无之心，即是常定。何有出入？若有出入，即非大定。
So what happened is that Xuán Cè asked him, when you enter samadhi, you claim you enter samadhi, tell me, please tell me, pray tell me. You enter with thought or without thought? And the guy says, I don't know, I'm not sure. And so that's why Xuán Cè said, you are not sure, okay? Then how do you know that you're entering or you're exiting? Okay? Now, this is also tells you that Xuán Cè doesn't know what he's talking about. He's only, his level is not very high. That's why he asks these silly questions. And it turns out the guy who asked that he asked a question to is not very high either. That's why we have this interchange. Okay. 531 Sutra text. Zhu Huang, that's his name, was speechless. After a long while, he finally asked, who is your teacher? Can't hear you.
黄吾对良久问曰：师似谁耶？
So on slide 532, again, when you learn about these things, don't worry too much about, memorizing or remembering everything you learn, because it's extremely advanced Dharma. Don't worry about it, okay? Just listen, that's all. That's all you need to do. And let it gel, let it germinate, let it sprout by itself naturally. Don't have to try so hard. Just listen, just relax. Okay, there's something that's very hard for me to do, because I'm used to analyzing, dissecting, and bore wasting my time. So for me to spend time listening to something, I want to learn, I want to memorize it. My master also encouraged that. He said, when you read sutra, when you listen to sutra, like you have to take notes. And then at night, you go home, and then you look at the notes, review the notes, and then memorize it before you can sleep, go to bed. And I said, no, that's too Chinese. Don't be like a Chinese. Don't be so Chinese. Let the Chinese do that, okay? When I lecture, just listen and have fun. Life is hard enough already, okay? Don't have to try so hard. Fall asleep, have fun. Whatever turns you on, do it, okay? Don't worry about it. You know why? Because as long your ears are working, anyone who's deaf, raise your hand. If you're deaf, huh? Don't worry, you're fine. Don't have to memorize. I disagree with the Chinese model. I'm lazy by nature. All right. So anyway, in the commentary on slide 532, just listen. Excuse me, I'm going to say in Vietnamese, nghe cho vui vậy thôi, không cần biết, không cần hiểu vậy thì nghe thôi. Cái đó quan trọng nhất. The most important thing is to listen. That's it. Okay, that's it. Don't need to understand. Okay? And that's how you get the most out of it, by the way. I really believe that. Eventually, you understand. Eventually, you see that too. Okay? No need to understand. No need to memorize. And if later you say, oh, I heard that before. Let me see. I can look it up in a dictionary or whatever. That's easy. But it's no need to memorize anything. Okay? I just hate memorizing. I hate it. Yeah. Anyway, it's too Chinese, too Asian. You know, when I was young, as a boy, Asian boy, I had to memorize everything. Went to French high school, memorize. Went to college, memorize. I said, I rebel. I said, I ain't memorizing. I'm learning math. I will deduce everything. I don't need to memorize anymore. That's how I became a monk. Couldn't make a living. Should have memorized. So, commentary in 532. So, Zhu Huang, that Chinese monk, he's speechless. He said, wow, no one ever talked to me like this before. Okay? So he come up with, couldn't answer him. So he had to say something. So he said, I'm not talking to you. I'm going to talk to your teacher. Very original. I will do the same. Okay? The guy is pretty good. So I like this guy, Zhu Huang. He's cool. It's like, more or less, it's like say, you're too low for me. I'm not engaging with you anymore. 533, Sutra text. Xuán Cè said, my master is 6th Patriarch at Cao Xi.
策云：我师曹溪六祖。
And you know, on the commentary, I don't know what I said in commentary. Oh, no commentary. So, and you were there. You were Xuán Cè. He said, aha, I got you. Sucker. He said, I'm glad you asked. My teacher is great Supreme Patriarch. But the Chinese very polite, very humble. They said, it's 6th Patriarch at Cao Xi, no titles. You see? Only low lives. Put labels in front of the names. I'm Supreme Patriarch. I'm the great Dharma Master so-and-so. I'm just a monk. Okay? And if you're like that, your students should know better than call you Supreme Patriarch, at Cao Xi and so forth. Okay? And Koreans, you know what Cao Xi is? Huh? Joge. Yeah, it's Joge. Yes? Hey, you Sunim. Joge is Cao Xi, right? That's my case. So you see, the Joge order from Korea, he say, I am identifying with the training methodology at Cao Xi. Okay? But I hate to see this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Cao Xi people don't practice Hua-To. You know that? They don't practice Hua-To at all. Too slow. Too Korean. Okay, shall we continue? It's very cultural. 534. See, the boys have their own culture and girls have their own culture. Look over there. Everyone is having fun. Zhu Huang said, Sutra text, what does your master take to be Chan, concentration?
黄云：六祖以何为禅定？
So, commentary in 535. So, Chu Huang now is so curious. He says, then what did you learn from your teacher? What did he teach you about Chan? Okay, what is concentration then? Okay, so this you have to read between the lines. Okay, this demonstrates, this proves that he's not impressed by Xuán Cè. See that? He's really impressed. He said, so what do you think Chan is? But he's not impressed. That's why he said, what did your teacher teach you what Chan is? Why isn't he impressed? Because Xuán Cè doesn't make sense. He couldn't answer. Xuán Cè doesn't mean he's impressed. Sometimes you can't answer. It's not because you are stupid. It's just that you don't know how to answer. You know when you don't know how to answer, right? Yes. So anyway, that's where Xuán Cè's weakness is. So in the future, if those of you who decide to go out and like Xuán Cè, don't try to impress people too much. Next, 536 Sutra text. Xuán Cè said, my teacher speaks of the wonderful, clear, perfect stillness, the suchness of the substance and function, the fundamental emptiness of the five skandhas, and the non-existence of the six organs.
策云：我师所说，妙湛圆寂，体用如如，五阴本空，六尘非有。
Ah, you got it? Okay, don't look at the screen. Tell me what did Xuán Cè say? You're all cheating. He said. Okay. The question is, what did your teacher teach you about Chan Samadhi? Yes? And what is Chan Samadhi? And this goes to prove that Xuán Cè's level is not that high. Okay? He says Chan Samadhi is what? Is clear, perfect stillness, the suchness of substance and function. I assure you, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Xuán Cè doesn't know what he's talking about. He's trying to impress. He continues to try to impress. The fundamental emptiness of the five skandhas. I don't need to talk like that to Xuán Cè, of course. And non-existence of the six organs. Again, it's not necessary. Why am I saying this? Because if Xuán Cè have any wisdom, why does he have to repeat things that Chu Huang knows already? Agree? It's a waste of Chu Huang's time to repeat things that he already knew. He can look up in a book. Yes? Most Chan masters talk like this. He heard of it before. So that's Xuán Cè's weakness. This is why Chu Huang is not impressed. Chu Huang gave him the whole dictionary, the whole menu. Agree or disagree? You're not Chinese enough. Anyway. So he says, listen, Chan, concentration, you enter concentration, you see the nature, you see your nature, that is your nature, which is give you a sense of wonder, give you a sense of clarity of mind, and the stillness of mind. That's what Chan is. That's correct. Okay? And furthermore, he says, there is, you then, after you enter this Chan concentration, my master talked about, then you experience this thing called, you begin to discern between substance and function. Also true. Okay? And then you experience, of course, fundamentally that the five skandhas, your form, your feeling, your thinking, your activity, and your consciousness are all empty. Textbook information. Non-existence of six organs, also textbook information. I bet you that 6th Patriarch would not bother teaching Xuán Cè about this. I'd be very, very surprised if he did. Why not? It's because it's the job of the lead instructor, not the 6th Patriarch. Can you see that? The lead instructor is supposed to remind you that the six organs are non-existent. The five skandhas are empty. All those things are textbook information. Why would the 6th Patriarch waste time talking about that when you can look it up in a dictionary? And when he has plenty of competent disciples when they're awake, are perfectly capable of explaining it to them, right? It's called teamwork, folks. Chinese teamwork. Agree? Never mind. Don't have to agree. Next, 538. Sutra text. There is neither emerging nor entering, neither concentration nor confusion. The nature of samadhi is non-dwelling and is beyond the act of dwelling in samadhi, stillness.
不出不入，不定不乱，禅性无住，离住禅寂。
He further elaborates, 539, commentary. He says, this samadhi here, you don't enter nor do you exit. Anyone? Questions or comments? Yes.
Well, this morning you said that don't get attached to samadhi because you're going to come in and come out of it. That's what you said.
Get to the point. What's your name again? I remember him. He doesn't park in the parking lot. He usually parks outside. Green car. SUV type. License plate. So you're implying, sir, that I'm wrong?
No. I'm just inquiring into the nature of samadhi.
Your level is too low for me to explain this. I'm really getting, it's getting hot in here or what? What happened to my fan? I'm losing all my cool here. There is a case where you enter and exit samadhi. It is true. Okay? Who has entered and exited samadhi? See? Few people, including you. Why do you ask?
Because he's saying you don't enter or exit.
But we enter, isn't it good enough? This is a good question, by the way. If you ask this kind of question, please don't ask people this question because it's not fair. You're asking four stupid idiots like me trying to explain the 6th Patriarch's meaning. What does he mean by that? Well, clearly we enter and exit samadhi. Yes? Huh? How come the Patriarch says to his disciple Xuán Cè, it's no entering, it's no exiting? Because it is true. At low-level people, like the baby girl, she enters samadhi and exits samadhi. Yes. But once you become enlightened, you never leave samadhi. Never, ever. Why look at me like that? My own disciples, those you internet people who are not here, my own disciple look at you. Are you that big of a liar? Really? That's what they're telling me silently. Are you loco? Because if our leaders can lie to us, so can I. Just kidding. It's no entering, no emerging, because it refers to the state of enlightened people. Okay, they're enlightened beings. They don't enter, they don't exit samadhi anymore. They always are in samadhi. Okay, it's true. All right. Neither concentration nor confusion. Okay? Again, it's a state of enlightened people. They don't see any more discrimination. Unlike us, we see confused people versus enlightened people, like the 6th Patriarch. There's a world of difference between enlightened people or confused people. But once you become enlightened, like Master HuìNéng, he doesn't see us any difference whether it's someone who enters and exits samadhi who is confused or enlightened. It's no more. They no longer discriminate. Okay? All right? The nature of samadhi is non-dwelling and is beyond the act of dwelling in samadhi is stillness. Okay? Non-dwelling here, meaning that this samadhi here really doesn't depend on anything. Okay? Because you're always in samadhi. You don't need to cross your legs. You don't need to be in full lotus. You don't need to concentrate. You don't need to be mindful. That dirty word. Huh? You don't need to be mindful at all. You are in samadhi. Why do you need to be mindful? Huh? What kind of nonsense is this? When you eat, you don't need to be mindful anymore. You can be scattered. Okay? And eat. And yet you're in samadhi. Whereas when you're mindful when you eat, you're not in samadhi. How's that? Okay? So the samadhi here is non-dwelling. It doesn't depend on anything. You don't need to be mindful before you can be in samadhi. There's no such a thing as mindfulness anymore. Okay? It's not necessary. And beyond, and once you are in this state of samadhi for enlightened people, okay, it's no more need for stillness. Your mind is always still. So why do you need to talk about stillness? You're there already. It's just like the mindful people. They talk about mindfulness because they're not mindful. We Mahayana people don't talk about mindfulness because we are mindful already. Okay? Same thing, same concept. Okay? This when you become enlightened, this samadhi, your mind is still, is at peace. You constantly at peace, no matter what. You're in the midst of the market. You still calm and at peace. Okay? There might be the earthquake. There might be a bomb exploding next to you. You're still at peace. You're a little bit scared, but you're still at peace. I think I'm just making conjectures. Okay? Some of you don't buy it. No faith. Okay. Anyway. All right? So, moving on. 540, Sutra text. Last weekend, we only made like 2 or 3 slides. This weekend, we're making up for that. Okay, so we're going faster. The nature of samadhi is unproduced and beyond the production of the thought of samadhi. The mind is like empty space and is without the measure of empty space.
禅性无声，离生禅想，心如虚空，亦无虚空之量。
You have to be careful. This is where the Chinese is very precise. You have to be careful when you try to translate this, try to understand this. Okay? So that's why I'm glad in the commentary slide in 541, we kept the Chinese original text next to the English translation. Let's see how good the translation is. Okay? I'm warning you, the people who translated this are not enlightened. That's why they sometimes the translation, what's the polite word for that? Sucks. And the people who review the translation, the review also, what's the polite word for that? Sucks. Anyway, 禅性无声. The nature of samadhi is unproduced. Okay? What does it mean by unproduced? When you are in this samadhi, okay, there's nothing, no thoughts. That's why it's called unproduced. No thought arises. It's not even a thought that says, my leg hurts. Just me. Only I and Alter D has that problem. Our legs hurt. So when we're in samadhi, you still have this thought, ouch, ouch, ouch. Not true. When you enter samadhi, even the thought of hurting is non-existent. It disappears. And after you exit samadhi, which I do, because I'm not enlightened, then all the leg hurts disappear. It's so cool. Right, Alter D? He said, not for me. Yeah. Not deep enough. It's amazing how I watch how the boy is so protective of his sister. You know, he's like a bodyguard or something. Yeah. He says, "You don't go near my sister. You hear?" Anyway, so the nature of samadhi is unproduced, meaning that you have no thoughts there, and also furthermore, even the fact that this samadhi here, okay, it's always there. So that's why you don't enter samadhi anymore. Okay, beyond the production of the thought of samadhi. And because you are always in samadhi, why do you have to think about samadhi anymore? Okay? Does it make sense? So what he's talking about is fundamental Chan concepts, okay, which totally nonsensical to you. That's why I told you, don't try to understand. Just listen. That's all. Just listen. That's good enough. Don't even try to write it down, memorize this baloney. Okay? Don't worry. Just listen. Okay? And then you'll be just like everyone else. You walk out of here and say, today's lecture is so wonderful. Master is so advanced. I didn't understand a damn word he said. And that is called Mahayana. That's what the Chinese do all the time. And they walk out and say, today's lecture is so advanced, I didn't get anything. It's so easy to impress you. We throw words like this at you, pick up the words from a dictionary, from a Shastra, from a thesis paper somewhere, okay, and throw it at you, and you're so impressed, you come back next week to get some more confusion, to get more confused. And that's what, and they say, I've been Buddhist for 30 years. You've been confused for 30 years, that's what you're telling me. Next, the mind is like empty space and is without the measure empty space. Okay? The mind is like empty space, meaning what? There's nothing in there. Nothing to talk about. Meaning that this mind here, you don't talk even about emptiness. You don't discuss it. You don't write a book about emptiness. Have you read a book on emptiness? I read 2 pages and I couldn't finish the rest of the book. So this guy is so confused. If it's all about emptiness, why do you have to write so much? I only need one word, emptiness. Okay, all to the disagreeing. So he says, then why am I doing here? He's all empty anyway. Yes, give him a microphone. Blue.
Well, there's the parts in the Shurangama Sutra where the Buddha explains how all the, there's 2 chapters where he basically just goes into how everything's empty.
Are you disagreeing with me? Just say it.
No.
Spit it out.
No.
We know where you parked already. There are plenty of knives downstairs in the basement.
I'm just saying, if the Buddha, had to write, a big section of the sutra explaining emptiness, I
didn't understand. That's why I'm claiming there's no emptiness to talk about. You got me. When you read the section, sir, did you understand what he's talking about?
Not really.
That's my point. I rest my case. For people like me, who do not understand about emptiness, there's nothing to talk about. Okay? That's my point. When the Buddha talked about emptiness in Shurangama Sutra, I forgot that section. That's to reinforce, to prove to you that I didn't understand the section at all myself. Okay, it's a fact. I read and I was terrified the heck out of me. I said, I will never try to explain this sutra. Too complicated for me. When he explained that sutra, it's to help you dissect what the emptiness is. Okay? But it's only to the confused people. If you're confused, you're not enlightened yet, then he has explained it to you. What's the nature of his explanation? The nature of his explanation is very interesting. What you don't get is that you're not supposed to understand. Okay? You understand, you're in big trouble. Okay? You're not supposed to understand. Okay? Yeah. Only the academians claim they understand. But we, true cultivators, say, we don't get it. Okay? Because you're not supposed to understand. But what's important in his explanation is in there has a code for you to how to experience that emptiness. It's not meant for you to understand, I emphasize for you again. It's for you to be exposed to the, like hearing, listening to it, and then, I don't get it. Okay? Listening to it, say, okay? That's what's supposed to happen. But in that process, in there is some secret things about how you can experience for yourself this emptiness he's talking about. Again, the Chinese don't explain this to you, do they? It's a secret code. Which, if I could interest you in our paying session for $200 a month, unlimited videos. So the short answer to your question is he explains it to people who are not enlightened. Master HuìNéng here explains it to the people who are enlightened, like Xuán Cè. So he says, you're enlightened now. Okay, before you were enlightened, I didn't explain to you what emptiness is and all those things. Now you're enlightened. Now you're about to embark on the road, go on the road, and you meet these people. And this is what you're supposed to tell these people to impress them. Got that? But when you were with me, when you're on your way to enlightenment, I didn't teach you those things. Didn't have to know. But now when you go out and talk to people, you need to know Tai Chi, you need to know Shaolin, you need to know different kind of martial arts so that you can be better at fighting. And that's what he's doing. He's showing off. Okay? So that's why the mind, the HuìNéng taught Xuán Cè, the mind is like empty space. It's vast. Empty space here, you can imagine in your mind, okay, that photo of the galaxy, the thing that, it stretches forever and ever and on and on and on. The light never comes back. We can't see it coming back. Okay? That's the kind of empty space that he's talking about. The mind. Your mind. It's a very powerful statement. Your mind. Never mind about Hubble telescope and all those things. That's nothing yet. Ain't nothing yet. Your mind. If you close your eyes and let your mind work properly, it's like empty space. It's as vast. It's able to reach those corners as far as the Western Bliss Pure Land. Okay? Billions of galaxies away. That's how far your mind can go, can reach. But you stop yourself and say, no, I can't see. I need the Hubble telescope to tell me what it looks like, how far it stretches. because you decide to limit yourself. Can you see that? You see the code here? You limit yourself. But once you become enlightened, let me tell you, the mind is endless. Isn't that cool, Jane? You, in order to get your students to pay tuition and fees, you have to limit them. I will teach you today about Milky Way. Okay? Pay your tuition and fees. But Xuán Cè is enlightened, so that's why he says, your mind. That's why when the 6th Patriarch explained this to him, Xuán Cè, oh yeah. You see that? Yeah. So the mind, he means my mind. My mind is like empty space. He verified it. Okay? Xuán Cè's mind, he says, my mind is like empty space. This is very Chinese. They don't say mine because they say, I'm Chinese, I don't say mine. Only Americans do that. That's why I'm translated for you. My mind. This is Xuán Cè's words. My mind is like empty space. My mind without the measure of empty space. Meaning what? Careful. If you raise your hand, I ask you to be careful. Don't disappoint me. Aha, chickens. Quack, 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 quack. Huh? We are dragons, aren't we? They're chickens. My mind is without the measure of empty space. Meaning what? All right, a brave soul.
Samadhi is eternal.
Eternal? He's Caucasian, but he's talk like a Taoist. Eternal life, immortality. Next, anyone? Give the SUV, green SUV driver. I'm cautioning you. Be careful.
Maybe
I'm too subtle for him. That's why I'm reminding him first.
maybe because emptiness is limited, because
Thank you.
apparently when you enter the really high samadhis, you
Go on.
you can see every universe in every particle of dust, according to the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's what they say. And but if it's not emptiness, then that means it would be real.
Hang on to that thought. QA, San Jose. San Jose.
Dạ, thưa Master, con nghĩ emptiness có nghĩa là the knowledge of that person is beyond measurement.
Better. She's one of my favorite disciples, by the way. You making fun of me. Oh, God, shame on you. Whatever Alta teacher said is exactly opposite. Here's what he means. It's so Chinese. It says, Wu Xu Kung Qu Liang. Liang here. What does Chinese Liang mean? I ask Chinese people, Chinese speaking people. What's Liang? What does it mean? Huh? What does it mean? Liang. Chinese people are all sleepy. They said, this guy, if I say anything, he's going to make fun of Chinese people. so Chinese, to be afraid, to be made fun of. San Jose, yes.
Dạ, bạch thầy, cái lượng này á là còn so lượng phân biệt đối đãi.
It's one of my favorite disciples as well. Almost there. Very good. Okay, let me explain to you. I don't expect you to get this. This goes to prove that again, Xuán Cè is enlightened, okay? Because he repeats these things and so he knows what his teacher was talking about. It's very good. So he says, this emptiness here of my mind, when I tell you about the emptiness of my mind, okay, it's not like what you think. You say, oh, it's pretty big, isn't it? Right? How big is your emptiness? Right? Is it 10 galaxies? 30 galaxies? 1,000 galaxies? Yeah, there's nothing. Okay? Nothing, all that space is nothing. Something like that. Okay? And that's what happened to unenlightened people. When you talk about emptiness, you talk about the vast expanse of where there's nothing in there. So, okay, is that, you agree with that? Right? And so he says, my mind is, if you measure my mind, it's nothing in there, it's still nothing in there, still nothing in there, still nothing in there, right? That's how you describe it. Yes? Then you describe it like that, then it has measure, doesn't it? Liàng is measure. Yes? When you say there's nothing in there, meaning you're measuring, aren't you? This is a lot more serious than I thought. You guys are so confused. Okay, let's try a different way. You got it? A brave soul. He says, I got it.
Okay.
Eureka!
No, I didn't just. So there's no thought of empty space. There's no thought.
It's very subtle. Blue, go ahead.
Okay. Notion refers to. You wanted that one? Notion refers to thought. So there's no thought of empty space. There's no thought of it at all.
Right. What it is referring to is that this emptiness here, my emptiness, that my mind experiences, is nothing in there. You go miles and miles, still nothing in there, still nothing in there, still nothing in there. Okay? On and on and on. To the point where at some point in time you say, oh, that's good. How far am I?
But that's what's not there.
Not even there. That's what Liàng is, the measure. You get it? I give you that analogy. Because when you say, go west, right? Go west. And you say, okay, how far? 1 mile? 2 miles? And then pretty soon you hit the Pacific Ocean. Okay? And then you say, how much further? I say, keep going. And you say, 1 mile? 2 miles? I'm running out of gas. Okay? You see that? Our mind is constantly measuring. That's what he's describing. But this mind here of these enlightened people, they experience this emptiness that keeps on going and going and going and going. And they don't even have this thought, how much further do I need to go? Only enlightened people experience that. You will have this thought, is this far enough? How much further? That's my point. That's Liàng. That's measure. Yes, internet.
Qun Liàng is capacity. And Jane said, the thinking is so limiting and restricting. Don't think, and that removes the restriction.
But that's the thought. Not to think is a thought already. Be careful. That's my point. My point is that this emptiness here, there's no question, there's no thing. This mind here, that's empty, 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 limitless. And yet, there's no thought that says, how far am I from home? Can I go home in time for lunch? Mom is going to get upset. Mom is going to think that I died or something. Right? I'm too far. How am I going to get back in time for Sunday night football? You guys don't watch TV. Never mind. Oh, you got that? So this is so beautiful, the way the 6th Patriarch taught Xuán Cè, and Xuán Cè got it. And this is Xuán Cè's role, is to regurgitate. My master, my teacher said, my mind is like empty space, and yet without any measure of this emptiness, of this empty space. It is so beautiful. So he doesn't even see it even as empty. See this? You want to measure because you want to measure emptiness. He doesn't see it as emptiness. Got it? He says, what emptiness? I explain in Vietnamese. Mình đo for my favorite Vietnamese disciple. Mình so đo là tại vì mình còn thấy nó mình mới đo, mình mới đếm 1 đồng, 2 đồng, 100 đồng, 1.000. Mình còn so đo, người tính toán được. Còn khi mình thấy nó, mình nói, không thấy gì hết đó, thì không cần phải so đo nữa, không cần tính toán nữa, thấy không? Nếu cái tiền á, mình thấy còn tiền á, mình đếm 100 đồng, 200 đồng, 1.000 đồng. Còn khi mình thấy không còn tiền nữa đó, thì mình thấy đâu cần đếm nữa đâu. Tiền là không rồi, không có gì, không có ý nghĩa hết. Đếm làm cái gì? Ý nghĩa cái không là như vậy đó. I explained in Vietnamese. I said, let me translate for you. This is important for those of you who are still not sold yet on this emptiness. When we count money, can I borrow a $100 bill from someone, please? No? Shucks. You count money because you see as money, yes? You see $100 bills, $200, $1,000. It's 10 of those $100 bills. That's last I knew, last I counted. Okay, so you count because you see a bill called $100. Okay, when your mind look at the $100 bill as nothing, do you bother counting? Do you? That's precisely the point. When it's truly empty, you stop counting. Does it help? So the measure, the counting here is because you still see it as not empty. When you see it's truly empty, nothing there, why do you bother measuring it? Why do you bother counting? Why do you bother talking about it? Okay? So this is a state of enlightened people, which is different audience from the Shurangama Sutra. Next, 542, Sutra text. Hearing this explanation, Zhu Huang went directly to visit the master.
黄文士说：“近来义师
So in 543, and Zhuang, when he heard the explanation, he was so impressed. He said, I never heard anything like that before. I better go and seek out the master. I can learn from this. I can learn from this master. Okay, and so that's why now you understand why 6th Patriarch chose Xuán Cè, and Xuán Cè is very competent. Okay, he did a good job. Okay, his explanation to Zhuang is right on, spot on. So now the sutra relates to the interchange, what happened between Zhuang when he came and saw the 6th Patriarch, because that's the whole purpose of this, is to bring him over to the Venerable HuìNéng, for the Venerable HuìNéng to teach him, to educate him, to train him. Okay? Sutra text 544. The master asked him, "Kind sir, where are you from?" Zhuang related the above incident in detail. The master then said, "It is truly just as he said."
师问云：“仁者何来？”皇具述前缘。师云：“诚如所言。”
Very good. 545, sutra text. So the commentary before we move to 545 is that I'm glad that 6th Patriarch agreed with him, because I always say that's what the 6th Patriarch taught him. I should have, in the future, I should check these things before I open my big mouth. If this lie were to say, no, I didn't say that, can you imagine what's going to happen? I would terminate the 6th Patriarch Sutra lecture and say, let's move on to a different lecture, different sutra. Okay, you lose your credibility. Never mind. 545, close call, let me tell you. I'm no longer interested in pressing taking chances like this. In the next week, I will start preparing a little bit. Today, ate too much, so I had to sleep a little. Sutra text. Simply let your mind be like empty space without being attached to the idea emptiness, and the response function will be unobstructed.
汝但心如虚空，不着空见，应用无碍。
Okay, commentary in 546. I'm checking San Jose. How come San Jose is so quiet? They're still awake. Okay. So the 6th Patriarch says, that's what I taught. Exactly what I taught Xuán Cè. And Xuán Cè is pretty good. It's a good thing he memorized it. He didn't add anything, didn't subtract anything. Good job, Xuán Cè. It's a compliment. Okay? Okay, that's very Chinese. They will say, that's my favorite disciple. It's low class. Only low class people would say that. It's my favorite disciples. You know what I mean? So 6th Patriarch says, it is like I said. Okay? So it's a compliment of Xuán Cè. Understand that it's so Chinese. Okay? We Americans need to be more explicit. It's my favorite disciples. One of my favorite disciples. Okay? And so he says, but I tell you this, that's for him. Can you see this? This is so beautiful. This is what happened to my favorite shrink disciple. She's asleep. Okay. This is a masterful move. He says, Yeah, that's my disciple. So it's a praise, right? It's my disciple. Okay? I'm proud of him. Okay? And this is such a beautifully executed psychology thing. You know, I don't know what you professional call it. His psychological thing is so superior. He says, yes, it's my superior disciple. But you know what? I tell you how you can be like that. Isn't it clever? You know, he just said like, yes, I know you admire him. I certify to you that he knows what he's talking about, and it's true to my teachings. Okay, and by the way, I know that if you want to experience it, it's very easy. I show you how to do it. Okay, it's beautiful. Agree or disagree? If I have paying customers, that's what I would do too. Okay. You want like that? Can I interest you in this watch here? So he says, for you to experience what Xuán Cè knows, simply let your mind be like empty space without being attached to the idea of emptiness. That's all. It's that simple. This is our problems, the problem of unenlightened people. This is why at this stage here, I feel that Chư Hoàng is not enlightened yet. That's why Master HuìNéng has to teach him. You want to get there? Let me show you how to get there. Are you guys paying attention? Are you enlightened? Now how come you are like, yeah, oh yeah? You should be excited. You should say, Master, please explain to me, what did Master HuìNéng teach Chư Hoàng to help him become enlightened? Just like that. He says, let your mind be like empty space without being attached to the idea of emptiness. Meaning what? Meaning what? You. Meaning what? Let your mind be like empty space. Meaning what? Empty space is, first of all, boundless. Agree? Infinity. It's infinity. It's no limit. Empty space is no limit. Mankind doesn't know the limits of empty space yet. We cannot measure it yet. It's a fact. Yes? Scientific fact. We cannot measure it. It's unknown to us. That's why we call it some kind of 8. I call it KCET. You guys don't watch public TV. Boring. How do you educate yourself? Yeah, give him a microphone.
It sounds like what you were saying the whole time.
Yeah, good. Hang on to that thought. I'm giving credit where credit is due. Overdue. Finally, somebody remembers. He says, your mind like empty space, meaning that, first of all, don't limit yourself. Okay? Number one. Don't limit yourself. Don't say, that's enough. That's far enough. Okay? That's empty enough. It's no limit. Drop that thought of limits. So far, so good? Because we confused people are limited. Limit our mind. Right? We tell ourselves, I wish I could be a billionaire. Yes? Okay, let me try this. I wish I could be a millionaire. You poor people, you're too poor for me. It goes to prove that none of you has any money. So sad. So, I forgot about what I wanted to say. You distracted me. I'm so disappointed. I was so excited about becoming a billionaire. If you only want to become a billionaire, then aren't you limiting yourself? Yes? How about trillionaire? Same thing. Okay, already I have one okay. Do I hear two? Huh? How about three? You limited people. You are 1 over infinity. You're not infinity, but you're 1 over infinity. Only engineers understand this. Okay, so when you say, I want to become billionaire, I want to become trillionaire, you're limiting yourself already. Right? So don't be like that. Don't limit yourself. Okay? Let your mind be free. Don't think of anything because you think you're limiting yourself. Yes? It's so important. I need you to understand this. I gave you all the examples to demonstrate that as soon as you think, you're limiting yourself. Yes? So what do we do? What do we do? We let you think that we're billionaires. So therefore, you can give us $1 million and say, oh, he's a billionaire, so $1 million is nothing to him. Never mind, you don't know what it's like to be poor and hopeless. There's no future in being poor, let me tell you. So anyway, so you see, as soon as you think, you limit yourself. I don't care how much you think. How about quadrillion? Limited. Limits. Yes? So your mind is like empty space without, okay? So don't think. That's what it means. Your mind is like empty space. Don't think. I'm interpreting the Chinese for you. Just between us, the Chinese don't even get this. They're so stuck on words. The Chinese say, gong, 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 emptiness. Because if you Chinese think about emptiness, you're also limiting yourself. Got it? Okay? So, don't think. Your mind is empty space. Don't think. Absolutely don't think. So far, so good. Don't think good. Don't think bad. Don't think a lot. Don't think a few. Don't think men. Don't think women. Don't think. Is it clear? That's the instruction. See how beautiful the instruction is? Oh, it's 2:30 already. Should we continue or shall we? Oh. Continue. Okay, for you, boy, I will continue. Yes, they're having fun, talking, playing with themselves. Yes, orange, red, whatever.
I had a question about response function. What is that last final?
Response what?
Function will be unobstructed.
We're not there yet. You're jumping the gun always. It's next week. I can't even finish without being, I'm only at empty space. I'm not even without being attached to the idea of emptiness yet. But thank you. That's, you just reminding me it's not enough time to explain everything for you today. It's so beautiful. This teaching is so beautiful. We don't want to rush it, do we? No. Let's let it brew. Thank you. Oh, you are a sweetheart. Just what I was thinking of. How did you know? Let's let it brew for a week and continue on this. This is very beautiful. It's wonderful teaching to me. It's so beautiful. That no Chinese explained it for their own kind. Okay, we stop here today. Next weekend we come back at 5:45. Is that okay? We go over this. This is in one sentence here. He taught Zhu Huang how to be like Xuán Cè. One sentence. No need for the whole sutra. Okay, thank you. Let's do the rebirth transference to help the people.